Okay. 3, 2, 1. We're live.
We're live.
Mics are hot. Mics are hot.
Now I'm nervous. I have to go to the bathroom.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding.
So, Bill, how's it going?
Good, thanks, Eric. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So for our listeners, today we have a very special guest, Bill Smith. And yeah, so as a quick little intro about you, I wrote up a little bio, so I'm going to read that quickly. So Bill is a Calgary lawyer and former firefighter who ran for Mayor of Calgary in 2017 municipal election against incumbent Naheed Nenshi. Smith campaigned on fiscal conservatism, lower taxes, and stronger leadership at City Hall. It's awesome to have you on. Thank you for making an appearance on the pod. So I guess, do you want to do a quick little...
Sure, yeah. I was just going to say, so from Eric's intro there, is that accurate?
Those are facts. Yes.
Yeah.
They're facts. If you want, I can give you a little more background and a little bit more depth. Because I think that, so often, the nice thing about these sort of longer form things is you can have a little more depth and a little bit more than just sort of a single layer of somebody from what you pull off the internet or you talk to a son about. So I was born and raised in Calgary, so there's only 8 of us left, I think, that were born and raised here.
Maybe fewer.
Grew up not too far from here, went to Ernest Manning High School, which was a little bit of a rougher school than it is now. The kids are pretty fancy there now. Went to the University of Calgary. Was fortunate enough to play Dino's football there. Won a Vanier Cup with them in '85. I've got the tattoo that says National Champions and a big gold ring, which is no longer as big as it used to be. The rings are getting bigger as life goes on. It kind of makes me laugh. Finished my phys ed degree, did my education certificate, so I was a qualified teacher. Fell in love with Logan's mom. Decided I needed a job, got a job at the TD Bank, which took us up to northern Alberta. Asked her to marry me. We got married in 1988. Fortunately, in 1990, there was an opportunity to get hired on here in Calgary with the Calgary Fire Department. So I started with the fire department in 1990. Then along came 4 wonderful kids over the next 9 years. Both Mary and I completed our master's degrees from Gonzaga University during that period of time. Oh, cool. And towards the end of the 90s, I was looking for promotions within the fire department. Nothing really caught my eye, so I went and applied to the law school here at the University of Calgary. Got into the class that entered in 2000. Stayed on the job full-time, 4 kids, and completed my law degree in 3 years. Articled and was practicing law as of 2004. Stayed actually as a firefighter until 2006. Oh, wow. So times were very busy then. And then practiced law until 2018, and I'll kind of circle back to that in a minute. And then I was doing other things at the same time, coaching the kids in hockey and football, and not very much in ringette because I still haven't figured out how they play that game. I was involved a lot with the community, whether we were living in Glendale, which is just down the hill from us here, or up in Hounsfield Heights. And I really got involved in politics early in the 90s with a friend who was an MLA, and he encouraged me to become his constituency president. So that was my first foray into sort of official politics at that time. And I just kind of stayed with it. And then in and around 2006 or 2007, when I was practicing, I got approached by a group of folks that I knew through the political world to get involved with a guy by the name of Ed Stelmach, who was going to be running for leadership. I really, really liked Ed Stelmach. Ed and Marie are two of my favorite people. And unfortunately, so I was quite involved in their campaign here, and then in 2010, while he was premier, I became the president of the PC Party of Alberta.
Okay.
So I was I ran a board of, or I was chair of a board running it. You can't really run it. You can help steer it at times. We had 44 members on that board, and that was, that was an adventure. But great people, great community people. All of them involved in other stuff, like something. They're all doing something to enhance their community, and I think that's true across all of the parties, whether it's NDP, whether it's Liberal or Conservative. The people that are involved with the parties are always trying to do what's best for the parties. I'm just going to back up a couple decades to 97, when I did run in Calgary for public school trustee, and I lost that race to a person by the name of Danielle Smith.
Oh,
so
interesting.
I've had a long relationship with her, and I think we both, I respect her, and I think she still respects me. So that was the political world, and then as it did a lot of PR and media stuff back in those days, and then we had a transition to Alison Redford as the premier, and that unfortunately didn't last very long, and we transitioned to Jim Prentice, who was just a prince of a man. Sad outcome in terms of his election, and then even worse in terms of the plane crash that he was in. But in mid part of 2017, I thought, I'm tired of the way our municipal government is. Maybe I can do something to change. And we were, had some experience in there, and I pulled together a great team, and I had great family support, and we ran a really good campaign. We raised close to $1 million. Oh, wow. And going from 0%, we took 44% of the vote, or 169,000 votes in October of that year. So that was, I think it was a good accomplishment. I don't know that I appreciated it as much then, because nobody likes to lose. Like, you don't play to lose, right? You play to win. So that was, that. And then if you're okay for me to keep going, talk a little bit about mental health. So I discovered only after all of these things that transpired that I was suffering from low self-esteem, and I did all of these things. I accomplished all these things because it was always, I needed one more thing. I thought I could find the true happiness I should seek over that next hill. If I just climbed that mountain, it would be okay. And it was I'm in the process of finishing a book on a bit of my story, since mine apparently is a little bit unique for people. And I talk about when about a year and a half before the campaign, I wasn't feeling good. I was actually like, I remember I crossed over the bridge downtown. It was a cold day, and I thought, I was just tired, just worn out, beat up. If I just jumped in the water where the ice was, it wouldn't be anything, and I'd be fine. And I thought after that, I go, that's not right. There's something wrong. Because I'm a guy, I didn't want to tell anybody. So I tried to find, I knew that Mary, Logan's mom, was going to be away for a trip. So I tried to find myself a counselor I could talk to without letting anybody know, because who wants to tell people that you're going to see somebody who's going to help you with your mental health? Because
what year would have this been?
That would have been like 16, the year before the election.
2016?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I dig around, and I've got, my staff has access to my calendar, so I want my staff to know what's going on. So I find a slot, I go and meet with this lady down South Calgary, and it's kind of interesting because you drive up. It's a residential office that she has in her house, and feel like it's a little clandestine. My wife's out of town and I'm meeting somebody at their house. But it was good in that, you know, I told her, you know, how I was, you know, not feeling that good. I was starting to have some bad thoughts, and she was great. Like, she went through and she said, you know, you're tired, you need a break. It's, you know, that's part of it, but you also need this, and this, and with counseling you'll probably be fine. And I said, okay, great. She goes, yeah, but I'm going on sabbatical for 6 months, so I can't help you.
Oh, no.
I'm like, the fuck you are? Really? That guy's like, shitting me. Anyways, so back to my office, and now I kind of know how to get the appointment. Got an appointment with a guy not far from our house, and I started seeing him. And he suggested I try an antidepressant, and he suggested an Ativan for anxiety. Mm-hmm. I didn't know I was either depressed or had anxiety issues. I just knew it wasn't right. I wasn't right. Mm-hmm. And so then I could finally, when I thought I was getting fixed, I could disclose to my wife and to my kids and to my friends, that my close friends, that I'd been struggling, but I'm on the mend. Yeah. Well, it turns out I wasn't quite on the mend yet. So I ran this campaign, and honest to God, I loved it. I loved it. The people I had around me were great. I don't love some of the dirty stuff that goes on in the background, but that's you know what it's like. You have to take, as
it's compromise. As
a wise man said to me once, you have to take life as it comes. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that guy there.
There he is. Yeah.
And so, you know, I would always focus on, you know, if there was 500 comments on Facebook, I would focus on the 3 that were negative, and those would bug me. I'd be like, I got to talk to those guys. I wouldn't go and thank the 497 that were supportive. I mean, that was, you know, they agreed with me, so they're good. But so that sort of happened, and then, you know, I didn't win. I think I got into a bit of a funk after that. I started drinking a little bit more than I probably should have. And then at the end of December that year, after the election, I got a very serious concussion. And somebody says I was a little groggy, but I think I was perfectly fine. But it was very severe concussion. And what it did, combined with what I found out later was my low self-esteem, my world got really narrow. And in trying to compensate, I tried to, you know, I would take a little more Ativan, I would take a little bit more single malt scotch, I would take a little bit more beer. Until the family day weekend, I found myself in my boardroom office with a loaded shotgun ready to end myself. Yeah. Just as I was ready to do it, my phone lit up, and it was my wife. And it just, for some reason, I thought it would go to voicemail. It just kept ringing, and I don't know why it did that. Eventually, I picked it up, and I was a bottle and a half of single malt in, and a shotgun in my hand, and she and Logan and Connor came down and got me, and she took me to the emerge, and they cleaned up, and I spent 2 weeks in the psych ward up at the Peter Naheed, for which I'm eternally grateful, and then had great help from a psychologist and a psychiatrist. Started on medication at that time and antidepressants, and slowly weaned off the need for the Ativan. Quit drinking, and frankly, that was, people go, "Why, you just quit drinking?" Yeah, well, it was, Mary said, either quit drinking or I'm gone. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't lay down the law very often, and I was like, so that was an easy choice. And then I started, through my psychologist, doing some more journaling and sort of tracking, you know, as my mental health improved. Eventually, I was able to wean off the antidepressants. She said to me, I remember her saying to me one day, we were a few months in, like this was probably 6 months after I tried to off myself. She goes, "Well, you're clinically depressed." I'm like, "The fuck I am, I'm not depressed."
I'm doing so much better. What are you talking about?
But I was.
Yeah.
The diagnosis was clinical depression, which is an official term under the APA, blah, 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 blah. It means you're in trouble mentally. So I never really thought that that was my problem until she told me that. And what's interesting is, I went to that point where I was ready to take myself out. And I realize now, as I'm trying to write this story, that one of the things I never did was fully disclose to that other psychologist, or anybody else for that matter, just how dark my thoughts were. Because I didn't want them to think less of me. Like, we do a weird little gymnastics thing in our head. I'm getting counseling, I'm getting better, but I still feel like doing myself in. I don't anymore, by the way. Never does that cross my mind anymore. So off the drugs, and then I started working on a book, which will hopefully come out before year's end. And I prefer not to talk so much about mental health, so much as to look at it in the context of mental wealth. And just like we look at our physical health in a certain way, and we work out and we do the things we need to keep ourselves physically healthy, there's a corollary in the mental side of our biology, right? And when we start looking at it as mental wealth, then instead of having that extra drink, maybe you want to have one less drink today, and then for tomorrow you're going to be a little bit fresher and a little bit better, or maybe it's get that workout in, because as we talked about earlier, your physical health and your mental health are correlated. The other thing I've learned to do that I never could do before was to savor the moments I was in, so that I would be able, like, I was always thinking about what's next, what's the next email I have to do, what's the next phone call I have to make, what's the next meeting, instead of zeroing in on the moments that I'm in. And last year I was walking my dog Apollo and my granddaughter. I had a really good cigar going, and the sun was beating down, and we were going to the playground, and I thought, this must be actually heaven, because I had nothing to worry about, because I could be in that moment with her and the dog and my cigar and not worry. And I realized then that I think I'm going to be okay.
Yes.
But that was a lot of work to get there.
Yeah.
I really like that. That's very meaningful and wholesome moment that must have been. Hey,
Oh, that was great.
just in like not bliss, but
Like heaven.
yeah.
So from
I have that with my sons and daughter as well. I just don't tell them.
for the listener, Bill's son is just sitting off to the side.
Yeah.
Sorry. He's a friend of the pod.
Friend
Friend of the show. Schmitty, as he's affectionately called.
Sorry, I should have said that earlier.
Yeah, no problem. So that journey,
Yeah.
from when you first crossed over that bridge to that walk with your granddaughter and your dog.
Yeah.
How many years was that?
6, maybe.
6 years.
Yeah. It's a while. It's quite a while. But it's when you're there, it's been worth the work.
Yeah. And so when you first thought that you were getting better, what surprised you about this whole journey? Because I think for myself, and kind of to disclose a little bit my background, like I probably in kind of grade 11, I started having, dealing with like a lot of loneliness and kind of darker thoughts. And it's really not only until maybe last year, and even I would say I still am kind of, those things still pop up for me. I think I'm a much better at dealing with them and kind of like, use a sports analogy, fielding that ball when it comes my way.
Sure.
but yeah, I guess, and there's been quite a few moments in my life where I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm better now. But then when it comes back, it can be really frustrating at times. And I'm not sure if that's part of your experience at all, or...
Yeah, oh yeah, no, it's, my psychologist wrote it on a piece of paper one day, and it's very interesting. It's on it like a graph, so an X and a Y axis. And she said, you start here, and this is where you're just shit.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't say that. She's really nice.
Yeah.
I'm not that fucking nice. And, you go up, you're getting better over time, you're feeling better, and then you have these setbacks, and whether it's stress or whether it's just reliving things in your head in a dumb way. She used to call it wonky thinking. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I like that word, because she'd always go, well, what about this, this, and this? I go, well, no, because of this, this, and this. She goes, well, that's wonky thinking. You're not thinking thoughtfully and factually about the situation. So you go up this axis, and then you kind of go back down, kind of like a roller coaster. But she did it as a little circle, and then you circle around, and then you start to go back up again, and then you're going to circle around, and then you start to go back up. But each top of that circle is higher than the previous one. Mm-hmm. And when you feel like you're doing that, you're progressing.
Yeah.
Right? So that even up here, you'll have a circle that drags down, but it's the bottom of that circle is still above the top of that last circle. And so if you kick yourself while you're down about those things, but then you start to look at it in that perspective, you go, well, no, I have made progress. And then you take that, internalize that feeling. And we talk about, in the book, I talk about, we call it C4. And it's a derivative of cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy, you're supposed to catch it. So you catch when you're emotionally charged, whether you're sad or whether you're elated. Usually it's sad. It comes out to me usually in frustration and lots of fuck
yeah.
about stuff. Usually drivers, but
yeah.
That's always been the case. So you catch it. You're not in your good zone, right? So you catch. Okay, so you check. What is it? Why is this? Why am I feeling this way? And is it that there's not enough money in the bank today? Like I looked at the bank account, it's like, oh shit. Or I got on the scale and it's not moving, like it's supposed to be going the other way. Or your chair's running out of battery, or whatever the thing is. So you catch the change in your emotional state. You check what the cause of that one is, and then you have to change how you feel about it, because our thoughts and our behaviors and our emotions are all interrelated like a triangle, right? So if you break that triangle anywhere along the way, you start to control how you react to things. So you catch it, check it, change how you feel. And when you start doing that with, and it's daily work. That's what I mean about mental wealth. It's like your workout for the day. Today, these are 3 things that are bothering me this morning. For the rest of the day, I'm going to make a point of every time I feel elevated or whatever it is, I'm going to check on those 3 points. And I'm going to tell my mind, I need to change the way I feel about it, because I dealt with that this morning, right? You take the 3 things that you can deal with. Yeah. Well, my bank account's screwed. Okay, well, I'm going to go apply for a job. So that's
something active to
yes.
address it. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, if you need to.
Yeah.
And then the 4th one is to, which my wife came up with, is chuck it. Once you've changed how you feel about it, you chuck it. It's gone. It's not in your brain anymore. It's not in your emotions. It's not in your behavior. And the things that we can chuck, and then you got to learn where your locus of control is in your life. And the biggest thing I love right now in the world is if somebody wants to talk about Donald Trump. That man has such a great ability to create an emotional response, good or bad, whether it's fucking Donald Trump or fucking Donald Trump,
Yeah.
one or the other. But you know what? We can't control a damn thing that man does. Not a thing. So when he comes on the news and you get like pissed off, chuck it, man. There's nothing you can do. If you feel like you want to go do something, make a plan and do it. But stop living off the emotional charge from some guy we can do nothing about.
That's
So,
I've
yeah.
definitely experienced that in my life with many other people.
Oh yeah, and we do that, and we allow other people to take charge of how we feel
Mhm.
when we should. We need to take charge of how we feel, and that's what we can do.
Yeah, I think that kind of ties into like bit of a general philosophy I've kind of adopted is just mainly the idea around acceptance and being able to reconcile what you can control, what you can't control.
Yeah.
And it's like being able to come to terms with situations and people and what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
I feel like once you're able to get to that point, it makes living a lot easier.
Well, and I know that, I mean, you and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
You are always impressive to me in that, I think you said it one day, when I wake up, I get to choose how I'm going to feel today.
Mm-hmm.
And I can feel like it's a shitty day because I'm in this chair. Or I can say, fuck it, I'm not dead yet.
Yeah. Well, and maybe that's, 100%. And death also scares the daylights out of me. So I'm going to try and avoid that, the Grim Reaper for as long as I can.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. It's something I think about a lot, and I try to, improve, adapt with whatever I learned that day. But yeah, it's life. Life is not easy, and we were at a friend's birthday the other day, and we got talking to someone I just met there, and instead of having a surface level like, oh hey, how's the weather's great, it was more like, yeah, so this happened 11 years ago now, and just kind of got into the meat of life right away.
Yeah.
And it felt good to be able to be like, it sucks, but everyone has something they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's cool to like by ourselves like minimalize what we're going through, and because life is not it's awesome, it's beautiful, it's hilarious, but it's also hard, dark, and scary. And and that goes back to kind of reconciling those two things.
Yeah. But we all have challenges, and it's how you the control part in your head and how you react to them, to me, is something that it took me a while to understand and learn.
Mm-hmm.
And that C4, that catch it, check it, change it, chuck it, has been really helpful in terms of saying. And so like with you, Raiden, like when you're feeling that, do you ever take the time and write down exactly what it is you're feeling, and then go back and check it, and then change it if you can?
I've started doing that a lot more this
Well, you
probably this past year.
And the bear blog has been a big thing.
Yeah, I've started like writing and blogging, and then it's actually been very interesting going back and maybe even like a month later,
Mm-hmm.
and looking back at some of that writing, and to kind of check in. It's like, okay, I was feeling this way when a month ago, and I'm feeling so totally different now. Because I've worked with a few counselors, therapists, and I find that what you said about like not going into the full detail, the funny things that we do to say that we're okay when we're not.
To lighten the blow.
I've done that lots, and I very much identified with you saying that because it sucks to admit that you're not doing good.
Right.
It's like
100%.
Because there's like I think there's like there's so much shame and a lot of powerful, especially because I think there's the masculinity aspect of it too. It's just like I don't want to be doing bad anymore. Like I'm sick of this. I want to be doing good, and if I will myself to be good, like maybe that's enough. But sometimes it's not, right? So yes, I have been doing that more, the writing it down and kind of challenging some of the thoughts that come in. I sometimes get lazy with my emotional homework, as they say.
Just like we do with working out.
Yeah,
right?
Right?
I didn't earn this by getting off the couch.
Yeah. So this past year, I think I've because I like to say that COVID did me dirty. Well, it was really myself that did me dirty, which I think I had some good momentum going into COVID, and COVID kind of put stressors in different ways on life.
Wrench into the tire.
But I think part of that was my response to it. I stopped doing those things that were making sure that building that mental wealth, like you talk about, and and kind of like that culminated to last year, the end of a really beautiful relationship that I had. But it kind of I came to a point where it's just like, okay, like I can't go on blaming all my problems on COVID, life, my parents, like. No, it's like I actually have a lot of. You talked about the locus. So for the listener, if you don't know what the locus of control is, it's what you have control over internally, like what you have control over, and just kind of starting to realize like, hey, like, I have the ability to react with what's going on, and I really liked what you say about like deal with it and then chuck it, because it's so true. It's like, oh yeah. Fuck, I feel poor right now. It's like, okay, what can I do about that?
Yeah.
Like part of that, showing up for yourself is asking for help. I wanted to ask a question about when you were in that, because I think that's a really hard thing, and for I think a lot of men that's a really hard thing. You talked about your in the boardroom sitting with the shotgun, and it sounds like it was very lucky that your wife didn't stop calling you at that moment. What would you say to men who are listening to this right now, kind of feeling a similar way? How to challenge that wonky thinking? If they recognize that? And how to take that first initial step of asking for help, because I know for me that was one of the hardest steps that I ever had to take, and I would imagine that was a very challenging step for you to take as well.
Well, I mean, I had to get to the bottom before I could start to climb out. Like I was just about right over the edge, and fortunately I didn't go over the edge. And I would say to guys, probably we all have this warrior inside us, which is, I mean, it's our genetic predisposition, and don't tell me it's not. And we want to fight, we want to battle. So maybe you start thinking about this is your battle, is your mental wealth. And if I can win that battle, like we have so much that we can do in our society in terms of excelling and greatness, should we give ourselves the opportunity to, that, I used to call it giving myself a pity party, that getting out of my pity party.
I just want to say I'm an expert at the pity party.
Yeah, I mean, so many of us are, but that shouldn't be what we're doing. Like, we should be realizing, and like I said, I was shocked that I had clinical depression. Get the fuck out, really? I'm like, that's when it hit home. Like, I was actually diagnosed, well, there's something wrong with me. And then I think from there I could really build myself back.
Yeah.
But it's a slow process. And just like anything else, it's not going to happen. Like if you go to the gym today and tomorrow, nobody's going to notice a difference on Friday, right? But if you go to the gym for the next 60 days and you eat well, people are going to go, geez, man, you look good.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking good. Same with your mental health. If you work on it for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, all of a sudden you start looking back at what you wrote, the months before, and you go, "Ooh, I was a sad sack of shit, but I'm feeling better now.
Mm-hmm.
Not perfect yet, or not great. I don't know that I can take on all of those challenges I know I can yet. But I'm going to keep working up that scale and work up that graph, and just be patient and thoughtful, and that's because we all go through it. That's the thing, right? Like we all, like if you look at some of the writings from the Greeks and the Romans, they all talk about their struggles with mental health. Well, mainly youth, because youth are idiots. But that's over the millennia. But they do. They talk about, what am I? Who am I supposed to be? How do I become the man I thought I was going to be when I was a kid? And it's what happens is we have this dream, and then we get the shit beat out of us over the years. Like we do. We take blows, whether it's a failure or a failed relationship or a financial failure, or we get too much time on the couch and lots of beers, and physically we feel dull and blah blah blah. We can unwind it. That's the beauty of our physical and our emotional, mental states, is that we can unwind all of that if we decide that's what we want to do. And if you want to continue with your pity parties, go after it. But I don't think you do. I think you want to get this thing to the point where you're making a difference in people's lives. So that guys are listening to this and they're saying, I like what they're saying. I'm going to go out and do that this week, or I'm going to start that right now today. As soon as this thing ends, I'm going to start writing down, 3 things that are bothering me. I'll write down 3 things that are great, and then the 3 things that are bothering me, I'm going to write down how I'm going to deal with each of them over the next couple of weeks. Or months if it has to be. Sometimes it takes years to unwind some stuff. Yeah. But if you're making progress on it, it's way easier than just ignoring it and letting it fester in the back of your emotional.
So 100%. That's very powerful. Yeah, that's I think been a big theme for me this year. Well, I guess starting last year.
Well, it's all so true, and to the point where it's like, I was reading this thing about, I don't know if is it called the 12-step program when you're
for AA?
Alcohol?
For AA.
Yeah.
There were a couple I can't remember all the 12 steps, but there was denial and then acceptance. I feel like when people are able to work through, like you mentioned, you had to hit the bottom to kind of be able to get to, why do we fall? To pick ourselves back up, as often said.
Yeah.
But it's at least in my experience working through the denial thing, being like, I'm okay. This isn't forever. This isn't who I am. And then you kind of work through it a little bit. It's like, you know what? It's not that this isn't who I am. I'm not going to let this define me. Whatever it is you might be going through.
Yeah.
And then coming to terms with things, like I kind of mentioned before. But I think that, it's tough for guys out there, and I feel like a lot of men are like, even today, people can talk about mental health, and I think most people that talk about it are genuine and sincere. I do think there's like a stigma around it still that expects you to bounce back, like expects you to get over it and to make the comeback right away, and it's like you said, Bill, like it's a process, and working through that, I think it's really.
So
I think it's
I find if I do two things, it helps. If I think about mental health, I always think about it in the negative and stigma, and you're not enough if there's mental health problems, which is why I like to use the term mental wealth. Am I building? Because it's a forward-looking piece, right? Might be poor today, but I know I can be wealthy in my mental state tomorrow. The second thing is there's a phrase that hangs around.
Can I pipe in for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
I think on exactly what you guys are talking about.
Do you want to come closer?
Yeah, for sure. The term like mental health.
Logan is stepping into
just gonna say one quick thing. The term mental health has a lot of associations, and people automatically think of DSM diagnoses or long-term depression, things along those lines. If you take fitness, for example, you don't say, some people do say, oh, I'm trying to improve my health. But oftentimes if you say that, it's like, oh, well, what's wrong? Are you sick?
Yeah.
There's an illness, right? And if you say I'm working on my mental health, the assumption then becomes, oh, well, there's something mentally wrong.
Yes.
I think if you take the flip side of things, I'm working on my mental wealth, I'm building something, right?
Yes.
I'm working towards something. And a lot of people don't say, oh, I'm working on my health, I'm going to the gym. They say, oh, I'm getting fit. I'm working on my fitness. It's just a way to turn that phrase around into a positive, as opposed to a lot of the negative connotations that come along with health care or health services or the way that we view that term in general.
100%.
It's more, what do you call it? More,
Stay in there.
it's like more active as well too, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And so there's another term that I like to flip around a little bit. A lot of people go, the struggle is real. And when you hear the word struggle, to me, it means there's no end. They're going to continue to struggle. There's no optimism in
Beatings
struggle.
will continue until morale improves.
But if you say the challenge is real, now you're looking at something that you need to rise up against. So it's the challenge. I'm going to take this challenge and I'm going to meet it. The struggle is real. The challenge is real. So how we talk to ourselves is how we become, is what we become. I think Bruce Lee had a great line, other than that was something like, be careful how you talk to yourself. Don't even belittle yourself in jest, because you will believe yourself if you tell yourself that.
Yeah, there's on somewhat the ironic flip side of that. I was watching this show called The Boys, and there's a character named Soldier Boy, and someone is complaining or something. And he's like, "You want to know what I do when I'm feeling sad or a little down? Nothing, because I'm not a fucking pussy."
Yeah.
and it's like, the people expect you to think that way, and so I don't know, it's crazy. Yeah. But I like the idea of the challenge a lot more than it's something to be accomplished. Yeah. And within, like, the struggle is the ominous overseeing, the struggle versus the challenge, which it feels like it's more attainable. Yeah. Versus
100%.
The over blooming.
Yeah.
Struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The struggle feels like
constant.
Like you mentioned, the struggle never ends.
Yeah.
But the challenge, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's an end goal. There's something that I can do right now to reach that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the locus of control. It brings it back in. It's like, I actually have control over maybe not all of what's happening, but I have control of what I can respond to this.
Always how you can respond. Always.
Yeah. The response thing is is huge.
And then when you start doing those, doing those mental exercises every day of catch it, check it, change it, check it, in your own brain about different things, it just gets easier because the pattern you've laid down, like to ride a bike.
Yeah.
To
ride a wheelchair.
Well, Erik. Speaking of that, we got Erik's hand bike out, and we've got two sessions in this week.
Yeah,
1.5.
1.5.
But I see you're back and forth, and that's to keep flow, right?
Keep flow. I got a bed sore I'm dealing with.
But you deal with that autonomically, almost, right? Like you do it so much that it's just
wired in.
Part of what you do. That's the same thing with that process.
Mm-hmm.
You wire it in, and then you slowly over time you break the connections for the old things, right? That the things that bring you down into that funk, into that pity party again, and you catch yourself as you like it becomes more recognizable. And my Suzanne, my shrink, said one day, she goes, you had this super highway of low self-esteem. Mm-hmm. We've built you a new super highway, right? It's smoother, it rides nicer, it's not as bumpy. When things start getting bumpy, I think, am I on the bad highway again? Or, oh no, Trump said something. Okay, I'm good.
That's a huge one. Yeah, they talk, the way it was explained, very similar. It's like it's a path you've walked down for many years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What you're trying to now is trailblaze a new path, and that's going to take time.
Yeah. And
then, but the challenge is to start walking on that path more often than that old path.
Yeah.
And recognizing, hey, oh yeah, I'm in that old path again.
Yeah.
It's time. I can change paths.
And some people want to call this a hack. But to me, a hack means a shortcut. Mm-hmm. It's going to be fine tomorrow.
There's no shortcuts.
If you think that's what it is, then you're really not looking at it.
I 100% agree.
What I've noticed, and I've seen a couple times, and at least in like my personal experience, I think it's interesting to see how people react situationally when it's like something they are dealing with internally, or like something that happened to them, but it's like I'm having a term. So for me, I made the mistake of what happened when I got hurt. Like I thought a pool was deep, dove in, broke my neck, whole thing. It's not like someone pushed me in or someone I can point to and be like, you are the reason.
Yeah.
The reason is you, or me. Like I. And I think when you're able to, when there's not that external thing you can point at and be like, this is the reason. I don't know. I think having that thing to look on and reflect on and be like, and take accountability for, I think it in the long run, like I think it helps being able to look back and be like, this is something that I need to work through, and that has happened, and it's no one else's fault. And the other thing, it's like only you can save you at the end of the day. Obviously, you get help, and your family and friends and people love and support and care for you. But it's also like you gotta, it's like you save you. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of like one of the part of saving you is asking for help.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Exactly.
Because you can't go alone.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. It's kind of like,
if you want to go
fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you got to go together.
Yeah. It takes a fucking village.
Yeah.
So I'm learning too.
What do you think? I think what you guys are. I'm gonna pipe in again.
Yes.
I think what you guys are saying and what you guys are trying to say is that you can blame everybody and the whole world your entire life.
Yeah.
Nobody asked to be here or to be born, right? One day you're
just kind
a
of shot
kid,
out.
one day you're a teenager, one day you're grown up, and within all of that, you kind of get some median ability to make decisions, but a lot of those decisions are forced upon you. And then there are specific situations like a car crash.
Mm-hmm.
You caused a car crash, or you got hit by a car. If you got hit by the car, you can spend the rest of your life saying, I got hit by a car. Or if you caused the car crash, you can say, man, I'm a piece of shit, I caused a car crash, and I'm going to feel bad. But within that, a car crash happened. How do you deal with the car crash, right? How do you actually say, you know what, I did a terrible thing, I need to do some work as an individual, I need to kind of get over this, right? Maybe I need to be a better driver. Mm-hmm. And then if you were in a car accident and you got hit by a car, how do you move forward and not say for the rest of your life, oh frick, my neck hurts every day now because this guy hit me? How do you go, you know what, actually I can still get out of bed, or I can still do this, or I can still do X, Y, and Z. It's the locus of control, right? It's not the incidents, it's not the story you tell yourself is reality, right? So if you say, I have the ability to do something about this, regardless of whether you caused it or whether it was done to you, that just gives you so much more ability to help with a tough or a sticky or a wrong situation. And then get your blocks in order. But if you are at the whims of the world, then you can't get any momentum. You can't get anything going.
Exactly.
So there's what's that Apple TV soccer?
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso. Great show.
There's a Ted Lasso quote that says something to the effect of, my hope is that I not be judged by what happened at my lowest moment, but how I rose to the occasion after, or how I dealt with it, or something like that. And it's like, yeah, like that would be great, because the media frickin' loves to tell you about your lowest moments. And having had a little bit of experience there, that's their bread and butter.
Yeah.
But if you don't let that define you, if you say, okay, well, I'm going to rise from that, and there was another quote I heard the other day: if I've got 1 foot worrying about tomorrow, and my other foot's worried about next week, then apparently I'm pissing on today. And I'm like, oh,
I like
yeah.
that.
I'm like, okay,
That's a good one.
yeah.
I like wisdom quotes.
That one was like, oh, yeah, okay, I get that. I get that.
It's like they bring these lifetimes of learning into one sentence.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this is quotes to live by.
Yeah.
Before we're kind of getting to the end here, but a question that I wanted to ask you was something I've noticed is that typically, this isn't for everyone in every situation, but just for mine, older guys have a harder time talking about this stuff than younger guys at this moment. I guess that's just something I've experienced. Is that something you've experienced, or
Is this ageism? Are you saying I'm an older guy?
No.
The hell?
No,
Logan?
no. Yeah.
No, so
You didn't prep me for this.
Yeah.
I didn't get these questions.
Yeah.
No, I think each generation is dealing with things differently, I think, and that's part of it. I think, we didn't talk about it, and, we probably still don't a lot but I think one of the things you do is you check in with your buddies, and you go, how you doing? And then there's this question in that, when you take that, how you doing, and you go, and you think something's off, you go, how you really doing? And a lot of time with, I know guys from my generation, they just need somebody to shoot this shit with who's going to listen to them for a bit.
Yeah.
Right? Because as men, we're generally not allowed, at least my generation, we're not allowed to talk about our weaknesses. We're supposed to be talking about our strengths and our accomplishments. But when you understand that being a bit vulnerable is actually a strength, and it helps, it helps you to, when you can show some vulnerability, two things happen. One is that you give the person you're talking to permission to talk about themselves, to talk about their issues. And we're wired to worry more about ourselves than we are about the person that we're talking to. So that was one thing I learned earlier on when I would disclose about my challenges, is that people didn't want to hear so much about me and my challenges so much as how I got better and how I can help them get better. Yeah. And realizing that is really what I've come to conclude, that I can tell some of my story and bits and pieces will resonate with people, but it affords them the ability to go, okay, if that fucking A-type OCD driven fucker can demonstrate that he's had challenges, then mine maybe aren't as bad as I thought they were. And now he's given me some steps that I can maybe try to start working on mine, and maybe we can unlock everybody's greatness just by saying a little bit of that stuff, right? Yeah. Because that's what, we all want to be successful. Yeah. We all want to be achievers. We're all going to do it in different ways. But at the end of the day, if you don't feel like you did your best and worked your hardest, then you're never going to feel like you're enough. Yeah. And God, one day when you're walking with your dog and your granddaughter and cigar, it's fucking enough.
Hell yeah. So maybe that's a good place to end it there. So you mentioned that you're working on a book.
So working on a book, we're just setting up a website called mentalwealthbuilders.com. Okay. And we'll eventually sell the book through there, but I'm going to do some personal coaching for people. Sure. I'm a certified coach, but I'm also old. I've seen a lot. Yeah.
Seen a lot. So it's like the farmer's insurance, right? I've been around, so we've seen a few things or something like that.
Yeah, between the firefighting piece, I know what it's like to work under high stress situations, and the lawyer piece, I get that, and the political piece. Yeah. I've seen a lot of different things, and one of the things you learn as you get a little bit older is that you see patterns emerging for people and their behaviors. And I can tell you that if I had took all of the advice I gave my clients as a lawyer, I'd be hugely wealthy right now. But you know how to help people, but you don't always help yourselves.
Oh man, story of my life.
Yeah. There's a chapter called "Nice Guys Don't Finish Last; They Put Themselves Last."
I like that.
Oh, that one. That's powerful. So, dagger through the heart.
Yeah.
So maybe say that one more time where people could check you out. What's the website?
It should be up and running in a couple of weeks. mentalwealthbuilders.com.
Okay, and when that is up and running, definally send it our way, and we'll put it on the podcast.
And so there's going to be 2 pieces available right off the hop on it, like a 1-page. Here's some steps you can do daily for the next couple of weeks to try to work on that whole thing that you get your. Oh yes, there's an Instagram Mental Wealth Today.
Okay, perfect.
It's got a big bright blue logo.
We'll plug it in.
There's that, and then there'll be another one, and then you'll be able to sign up for coaching through that.
Perfect. Yeah, so we'll link that in the podcast description. So people, if you're listening to this, dear listeners, make sure you go check that out.
Listeners.
Yeah. And if you're if you're struggling with something, and if you find yourself either nearing that bottom of the barrel, or
we'll link the mental health.
There's quite a few. There's a bunch of resources out there. Just you're not alone out there, and there's options to turn it around. It's never final, and I hope you.
Until it is. So take a step in the right direction before that, because people do care. Like, people really care. There's people everywhere, whether it's through the suicide prevention line, or whether it's through Calgary Counseling Center, or through all these Canadian mental health associations. There's always people that are happy to help, and we all, you talked about the pathway. We all walk very similar paths. Like, it's remarkable how, the experiences of this individual are similar when you hear them. And that's, how we identify with each other, right? And so a lot of people struggle. A lot of people are challenged. Reach out, get just a few steps, just to start, take the first step.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, Bill, thank you very much for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
And listener.
Listener,
hopefully you enjoyed it. I know that I did. Erik?
Love you, listener.
Okay, we'll talk to you, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.